People will not give you their money without first giving you their time.
All right, 7-11-4 period. Take us away. What is like the overarching concept, and then try and stay on task. I know you have a really hard time doing that.
I just like a wheelbarrow full of boobies and just enough ass to keep my balls off the sheets. You know what I'm saying? Periods
You
of time.
are such a piece of
Most people get it wrong. They say in order to get somebody to buy from you, they need to absorb 7 hours of your content, have 11 interactions with you in 4 different locales.
This is a concept that you stole from someone and
I stole from
played it
somebody
off.
that stole it from somebody else that I
And
believe
it-
stole it from somebody else. We use this concept in bookkeeper training, drone pilot schools, fitness offers, paint equipment, sales, franchising. It only works everywhere. So 7-11-4 is a... Hey, it's Perry, and welcome back to the Trainwreck Show, the most entertaining, laughable mess of a podcast anywhere on the interwebs about marketing, business growth, operations, all the things you need to run a business. We're trying not to make it boring around here. I'm your host, the unstoppable force of growth, Perry Belcher, in your business, along with the wizard of ops, Miss Emma Rainville, the immovable object, 10,000-pound boulder with nice shoes, is what we call her here around.
Not today. I was trying to match yours, so I put really ugly cowboy boots on.
Life's too short to wear ugly shoes. All right. Well, cool. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here. Emma, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good, man.
I'm doing pretty good.
It's been an interesting couple of weeks, hasn't it?
I mean, it's been an interesting lifetime.
Yeah. We're post-election now. It's kind of cool.
It's great.
Yeah, we're post-election.
Did you hear this, by the way?
Yeah.
She's $2 million in debt.
Oh, really?
And can't pay her staff.
Wow. Raised $1 billion.
Raised $1 billion. Makes you kind of...
Things that make you go,
Yeah. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about 7-11-4.
Yep.
This is a concept that you stole from someone and played it off.
I stole it from somebody else that I believe stole it from somebody else.
And now play it off as your own.
It's mine.
Yeah.
It's clearly mine now.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
So
I give credit 2 times. When I teach something twice, I always give credit back if I know who to give credit back to. And then after that, it's mine. I have food on my mouth.
no, I think it's the herpes. It's just the herpes.
Is there something?
Just the herpes. No, it's all the hair.
That's all the hair. Hair grows in, when you get older, by the way, hair grows in all the places you don't want it to grow, but it doesn't grow in all the places that you want it to grow. That's what happens. It's like a jungle down there.
Jesus Christ. Now I can't get the visual out of my mind. I want to throw up in my mouth. All right, 7-11-4 period. Take us away. What is like the overarching concept, and then try and stay on task. I know you have a really hard time doing that, but try and stay on task.
Alzheimer's is kicking in.
I know. It's the early onset dementia. It's okay.
Some of those things. I can't say big words like that. So 7-11-4 is a principle of attention. And I've said for years in a much simpler form that people will not give you their money without first giving you their time. I've preached that forever, but without any real definition of it, right? And as you go through, as marketing has progressed, right? We've seen social media and influencers and all these terms that honestly, I called influencers bullshit for years. And this is a flash in the pan. Everybody's going to be an influencer. Yeah, if everybody's an influencer, who are they influencing? I couldn't have been more wrong.
By the way, that's for those of you watching on YouTube, that signal that right there was what he does when he scrolls through Instagram looking at influencers.
Yes.
Please, Perry, go ahead.
Especially the ones with the big butts. Yeah, I couldn't have possibly been more right. It's not really true. I'm not a butt guy.
I couldn't understand why you said butt at all.
Well,
although
like
in recent weeks, since we've been around all these women that were clearly from Brazil, you have been kind of making comments.
Okay, but
maybe as you get older, you just realize.
I just like a wheelbarrow full of boobies and just enough ass to keep my balls off the sheets. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think your balls are big enough to hit the sheets. Well, unless you're laying you flat, which is what I would actually expect. I would actually expect
it's not about how big they are. It's how low they hang. It's a different thing. It's not really a great thing.
Are you the one laying on your stomach, Perry? Is that what you're telling me? I think you're the one laying on your... You know what they say about Thai girlfriends? Half the time they ain't girls.
Half the time they ain't girls. There's, God almighty, somebody sent me a thing the other day. Was an one of those was a fucking dating app thing. And there was a screenshot.
Someone sent you a dating app?
No, they didn't send me a screenshot from a dating app. And the girl's name, I forget what, she says, I'm Thai. if you send me a dick pic, I might send you one back. Which I thought was hilarious. Anyway, so there's enough for the children's portion of the show. We're going to get serious now.
Lies.
Yeah. So basically, people won't give you their money before they give you your time. So there's this concept called 7-11-4. And as I understand it, it originated in the dating world. It was taught with dating and relationships. Some of the dating gurus taught it. Then I've heard it was created by that Google did a big study on it and put it out. And then there's a guy named Daniel Priestley, which, by the way, I don't take anything away from Daniel Priestley. He's absolutely brilliant. One of his books, Oversubscribed, is one of my favorite books right now. And he's a brilliant guy. Preaches this a lot. But
I found it as far back as Jack LaLanne, I think is how you say his name when I was researching it.
Jack LaLanne?
LaLanne?
Or Jack Trout?
No, so he's a juicing guy that did infomercials.
Oh,
and he
yeah.
had to juice it. I found it
Jack
back
LaLanne.
then. Yeah.
Jack LaLanne was the number one fitness influencer. He was the first fitness influencer, period.
Was he?
He was on daytime TV. He used to
It looks like he was in the George Foreman selling grill days.
way before that.
Okay.
Yeah, way before that. He was in black and white on TV.
Okay.
Yeah. He used to wear jumpsuits.
He was what I watched this morning when I was researching this was he was doing infomercials that were like 30 minutes long. He was 90 years old. And it was how he had lived so long was he juiced every day.
I think he did his last infomercial with Forbes Riley. I think.
I watched the infomercial. Yeah, that's what I watched this morning. That's what I was watching. And so that's where I originated this principle too.
Yeah.
I'm sure it went before that.
Jack LaLanne was on daytime TV. He used to come out, if I remember, like right between two of the big soap operas. He would do, like in between two of the big soap operas, did like a 30-minute show with Jack LaLanne. And he would do jumping jacks and toe touches and, silly little, basically calisthenic exercises for housewives. And that was his thing. He became majorly famous from it and then went on to do infomercials later. But the principle is that I really most closely equate it to dating because I think a lot of marketing and a lot of romance have parallels. They really do. 7-11-4 means that most people get it wrong. They say in order to get somebody to buy from you, they need to absorb 7 hours of your content, have 11 interactions with you in 4 different locales. That's the way people hear it. It's not really true. The numbers are right, but it doesn't mean they're going to buy from you. It means they're going to have enough information to make a buying decision. So if you equate it to dating, I don't think anybody's ever heard a girl say, well, I have a 7-11-4 rule, but a lot of girls say I have a 3-date rule. And I'm not going to get intimate with this dude until we've had at least 3 dates, right? So it's, how long do 3 dates take?
Is that what most women do? 3?
I know you're 15 minutes and 3 tequila shots in, but not everybody's like that. If you're ass up, give me I know. So, but
what was
3?
that?
But that's the 3 shots.
What was that?
You're rushing.
That was the 3 shots
because they're just excuses for you. Then I know you're not really getting buzzed on me. You just want tomorrow to be able to say, I was so drunk. I didn't know they were all on the same team.
I think you have a complete misconception of who I am. Okay. I've decided in 24 minutes. I decide in 24 minutes whether I'm never going to see you again or whether I'm going to sleep with you tonight. And that's it. 24 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the lucky ones that got away just to
I don't ever. Yeah. Well, I don't. Shut up. I don't ever drink before I don't like sloppy sex. But by all means, Perry, you go ahead and project your experiences on me all you'd like.
No, I think this is a plus that people now realize that I don't understand the sexual habits of Emma Rain.
I don't think anyone was confused.
For little miracles. Okay. So anyway, 7-11-4. So 7 hours, 11 interactions, 4 locations.
Yeah.
So you think about this. You meet some girl. That's one location. You spend a little time together. You go out on 3 dates. You probably have some text messages, some phone calls, some conversations, right? It comes out to about 7-11-4. Does that mean at the end of that girl's going to automatically sleep with you or be intimate with you or whatever fashion that you might find that to be, whether it's like, it could be, physical touch. It could be intercourse. It could be in the back of a semi-truck, like with Emma. It could be all kinds of places. So whatever happens at that point is not going to be determined necessarily by the 7-11-4, but they're going to have enough information at that point about you in order to find out if you're a candidate or not for them. So when you equate that to a sales letter or a VSL or a webinar or an infomercial, it's a really well-known fact that the average person, you cannot sell anything more than about $20 on a 2-minute commercial on television. $20 is about the cap for a 2-minute commercial. For infomercials, it's usually somewhere between $100 and $300. By the time they get you on the phone, they'll make some upsells, but $100 to $300. But here's the trick nobody tells you. I have a lot of the proactive stats from Guthrie Rinker. Most people have seen that proactive commercial 4 or 5 times before they finally react to that commercial to buy. So again, they've absorbed about 7 hours of content. They've got text messages, they've got emails, they've seen ads in magazines, that those different interactions. And oftentimes they're seeing the show on the internet, YouTube, on a website, on a television station. So the thing is, the 7-11-4 principle, you can argue it till you're blue in the face. It's there. It works. It's there for a reason. And it gives people the ability to get comfortable. They fall into what's called a temporary suspension of belief when you do that. So everybody has beliefs. They have belief sets. They have mindsets that are rules that we build or beliefs that we build by the time we're 10 or 11 years old. And we carry those through the rest of our life most of the time. And we very rarely ever change a belief. But from time to time, we can suspend one. And so how do you suspend a belief? Maybe a girl is raised that, you shouldn't be promiscuous. Or maybe a guy is raised that you should always be polite to a lady, right? But the girl's not getting anywhere and the guy's not getting anywhere and they're feeling lonely. What do? They usually go out to a bar and get drunk so that both of them can be off of a certain behavior. They suspend that belief with alcohol, or they suspend that belief with drugs, or they suspend that belief because of some situation that happens. The greatest way to suspend someone's belief, by the way, without those substances is via a story. So when you're taking people down this journey, this 7-11-4 journey, the best way to keep them interested in it is to get them involved in a story. That's it. Just get them involved in a story so that they'll stick with you. Because when you start spewing facts and shit like that, you're going to get boring way quicker than 7 hours. Like if you go on a date, if a guy just starts rattling facts about himself out over and over and over again.
I'm ops, I'd be turned on.
You'll be turned on with all your ops. You'll be turned on. If you got a data sheet on that. So yeah, but generally speaking, all kidding aside.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, you're like, enough, right? I don't care. It's like back when Hillary Clinton debated Donald Trump, and she was spewing out all these facts and figures and data and trying to be smart and make points. And he was just screwing her off and making people laugh and making youth.
He was entertaining.
He was entertaining. And it was pretty evident.
And he looked like an idiot.
Yeah.
But people definitely sided with that scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really crazy because you can suspend people's beliefs of everything if you tell enough stories.
Which is why you tell so many stories.
Right. And Trump, right. Because I don't want people to really know that I'm dumb, right? But, and Trump is brilliant in giving people nicknames and making things entertaining and saying things that a lot of people want to say in the back of their minds, but they're too afraid to.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
He's just a little bit, I feel like I say a lot of things that people wouldn't normally say, but want to say.
And people admire that to a point.
But,
they really do.
But I think with him, he goes so overboard. It's on the lines of what you were thinking, but way past the point of what you were thinking, which brings it into a shocking entertaining factor, right?
Repetitiveness too.
And the Kung flu, the amount of times that man called COVID the Kung flu should have been appalling.
You can't disassociate it though now. It's
impossible. Yeah. Every time I think of COVID, I think of the Kung flu.
Yeah. It's crazy. When you've got a story and taglines and funny shit and enough repetition, you can change the
You
narrative.
become president.
Change the narrative of anything.
Right.
You really
Right.
can. If you can win the presidency of the United States to be the most powerful person to face the planet with the concept that I'm talking about right now.
Yeah. What can you do?
Look at another, not to make this the Trump show, but they talk about when Trump does rallies, he stands up in front of the crowd and he just rambles for 3.5 hours.
Saying the same thing 9 times.
In 18 ways. Right.
Right.
When other people get up, deliver a 40-minute speech and get back on the plane. But he just ate up 3.5 hours.
There's no one in the world. There's no one in the world. There's
Yeah.
no one in the world.
But
Drain the swamp.
he burns up 3.5
that
hours,
mean?
right? If he does
Right.
that twice, he's crossed the bar,
Right.
right? He's gonna send you enough emails and text messages. God knows they all did,
Right.
to blow up your phone. And hopefully you're going to see him on TV. You're going to hear him on a radio show. You're going to see him on a podcast. You might even go see him live somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it takes, right? And you can make a decision. And like in this past presidential election, I think really at the end of the day, the core of it is strength won over weakness. Perceived strength won over
strength.
perceived weakness.
Right.
And that's a branding problem for the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party's been branded as wimps. And they're going to have to get, I watched Carvell the other day talk about how the Democratic Party is going to have to get lean, mean, and tough.
Yeah, and they've been pushing this weak agenda on people
Kennedy.
for a long time.
If you don't get your missiles out of Cuba in the next 4 hours, I'm going to blow you off the face of the planet and sink that island in the ocean. What do you want to do? They moved their shit. But Kennedy was a tough Democrat. Democrats have become very, very soft. It's really weird how it works, right?
They've literally created the cancel culture.
Yeah.
Which we're both.
And they're getting canceled.
Right. We're both very liberal, so don't come at us at the comments, because we don't care about politics. We care about making money. That's what we're dissecting here. But yeah, it's very interesting the way that you put it, and it's also very eye opening. So thank you for the
it's cool
analogy.
There's no bigger social marketing experiment ever than is Donald Trump.
1,000,000%.
I mean, there's no one bigger.
1,000,000%.
We talk about it a lot when I go into. We're going to talk about primal offers on one of these episodes, and I talk about the 5 big elements that make people follow you to the end of the earth, and it's support their dreams, allay their fears, confirm their suspicions, justify their previous failures, and cast stones at their enemies. It's textbook, man.
Yeah,
it's textbook, and the 7 deadly sins. If you tell somebody it's okay to be a glutton, it's okay to covet thy neighbor's wife, it's okay to do all those things, the 7 deadly sins, that just adds another layer to that. This is not, if you guys haven't seen the show
he's
yet,
actually taken that a step further, if you really think about it, not to get too off kilter here, but he's taken that a step further. It's okay to be a glutton. It's okay to put you first.
Sure.
It's okay to sleep with someone's wife. It's, you only live once. You need to seize every moment. Grab her by the pussy.
Grab him by the pussy.
That is my favorite line ever.
Can you imagine?
A week after that came out, every freaking Christian pastor,
evangelical,
every mega church was screaming, "Go Trump."
I know.
It's nuts.
You know why? Because every mega pastor and every
wanted to grab her by the pussy.
Had an organ player somewhere that they wanted to grab by the pussy. So yeah, it's crazy though that the emotion supersedes the message,
right?
And people don't get it.
But if you can make someone feel emotion either way,
right? You make them feel something.
I mean, even people who I know dislike Trump still voted for him, because of all the things you're saying, that strength, that power, that we're in a tumultuous time in this world. And then on top of that, you have not only cancer culture, but this whole what's your pronouns, and you can't say this and you can't do this, and you don't know which bathroom to use. And they're bringing this into schools, and people are pissed.
Well, they're like, people are like, do I want to accept his extremes?
Or their extremes, right? And I understand his extremes and where the end is.
Right.
And the end is probably us getting nuked, but I get it. I know what's going to happen. It's okay. I'll just hit the ground and cover my ears and shut my eyes. But their extreme, it just has no end. It comes for our children in a completely different way. Yeah. And for a lot of America, in a post-mortem way, in a eternal way. Well, so perfect.
It goes all the way back. Like when we go into primal, I'm going to talk about how we have evolved this much from cavemen, right?
100%.
And you needed a fearless if not stupid
leader. Look at the Lion Kingdom.
And charge out into the charge out into the unknown jungle.
Right.
You needed somebody that did that.
I don't want to sway you too long, but the psychology behind all of this really turns me on. It gets me super charged.
It's super fun. We're going to talk about primal offers in another episode. Yeah. I think that'll be a lot of fun. But this 7-11-4, I'll get these across quickly because this shouldn't be that long of an episode because it's really, it's easy, right? If you got 7 hours to get somebody to consume your content, it sounds like a long time, but it's really not. If you're writing blog posts.
Oh, can you dissect that for me though, Perry? Because I hear 7 hours and I have never consumed anything for 7 hours. So this isn't just them sitting and watching your VSL for 45 minutes 7 times. Kind of dissect that for me a little bit.
I think you probably have. Because like we've met, right? We met before. You had seen digital marketer stuff. You had been.
But this is my point. I didn't sit down for 7 hours and watch. So I just want you to.
But almost nobody does.
Right. But I want them to understand what it goes into. What goes into it.
But there's a big point if you do. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's a reason why when you want to sell something for $20,000 or $30,000, it is practically impossible to do it any other way than in a live event. And why? Because that person in a live event has absorbed you for at least 7 hours in a very compressed period of time. So they've spent, like if our Ignite members, right? They get to go to 2 live events a year and 2 or 3 virtual live events a year and then 3 or 4 streaming events. The next best thing to live is
12 virtual events a year.
The next best thing to live is streaming. But if you're going to sell a high ticket, we did War Room for years with Digital Marketer. We did it at TNC. We would fill the whole thing every year at TNC because we had a room full of people that got to spend hours with us, right? And recency helps. The fact that they spend time with you over a long period of time is good. If you spend time with somebody over a compressed period of time, it's even better. Like there may be a girl or a guy that you've liked, right? And over time, you've spent time with them. You feel like you know them, all those things. But then all of a sudden, everybody goes out on a friend's weekend. Mm-hmm. And 3 days later, you hooked up with this person that you've been buddies with.
Me and Gabe.
For a long time, right? You and Gabe?
Me and Gabe, yeah. We went on a camping trip.
Yeah,
after knowing each other for 6 months.
Yeah, you know each other 6 months, but then you spend that 3 days of compressed time, right? And you know what you have? You have a temporary suspension of the belief. He probably actually found you attractive. After 3 days in the woods, surrounded by nothing but bears and squirrels and wilderness, I could see it, kind of. But it takes a lot of time. And plus, there's no light out there. There's no natural light at night. So that's a plus. But you got a lot going for you in that particular situation. But you do have this compressed period of time.
You are such a piece of shit.
Because you have the compressed periods of time where if you can get people to consume some of your content online and then show up at a live event or then show up on a 3-day streaming event. I don't accidentally do 3-day live stream workshops.
Right.
There's no accident to that. I'm bringing you in by giving you all kinds of value, stuff in emails, videos, all kinds of free stuff. Hey, why don't you come in and spend 3 days with me on this workshop? It's only $100. Well, that sounds like a deal. It's a deal for me. It's a bargain for me.
Right. Because you're getting paid for delivery.
I got 3 days of your attention for $100.
And you're being paid for delivery.
Right. And plus I'm delivering value to my members. Now, the good news, bad news for me is it's not good news, bad news. It's good news. I have to make that really, really good because I'm delivering to members who are paying a lot of money. So it's a win-win for everybody. Right. I deliver this up. And every time one of my Ignite members is on a workshop.
Or a Driven, because we also have the Driven. Not only does Driven get on there, but Driven is allowed to send their staff to those so that their staff can learn. On purpose.
Yeah. Because their staff is probably going to be somebody else's staff in a year.
Right.
So if I let Chris's staff come to Driven, if Chris is a Driven member and his staff comes to Ignite.
Arcion is a Driven member from VSL Ads.
Comes to Ignite and learns and gets and drinks the Kool-Aid, right? They may not even be able to buy right now.
Could you imagine if Chris would have been smart? He is a Driven member.
If Chris had been smart. Can you imagine if Chris had been smart?
Hold on. No, because I'm about to destroy him right here because you remember earlier today, he was like, I want to do this so that you'd be proud of me, but this is the shit he does that makes me not proud of him. He paid all the money he paid for Driven. We taught 60-minute SaaS. And did he send one of his people to try and see if he could cut his editing process? Did he send one of his people to see if he could create his own software to replace the $30,000 a month in software? I'll bet you the answer is no, Chris. Idiot. So how much money could that have cost? Well, him, but I love him and he knows it. That's why I say it. But we deliver such a great thing. But what's happening is you've got on that call while these people who paid you $100 are watching you deliver, you've got people losing their minds in the comments about this is going to save me $8,000 a month. This is going to save me $12,000 a month. This is going to save me labor for 2 people so that, I can have them do a higher level thing. So it's a brilliant concept.
But the higher up you go, they get, I'm already a little too smart for that.
Well, that's why you have them send their staff.
Yeah. Which sending the staff in, we let staff come in from Driven to Ignite for a couple of reasons. One, they have experience working for these multi-million-dollar companies that help the Ignite members.
Right.
The Ignite members don't mind them being there. What you don't want to do is allow people in that are a much lower station than the people in your community, generally speaking. But then they go back and one of 2 things is going to happen. Well, one of 3 things is going to happen. They're going to be bored and not like it. In that case, they're probably a turd employee. They didn't show up really anyway. They're just wiggling the mouse while they're drinking cocktails. 2, they're going to get excited and fortified into the concepts and bring them back to the boss, who's going to have even more reason to stay in Driven in the bigger ticket process. Or 3rd, they're going to leave because people are transient. And now they're going to move over to XYZ company that's not a Driven member, that's not an Ignite member, and they're going to have what we call the sneeze factor. So they're going to sneeze all over and infect that new company that I didn't have to work for to get the attention of. Right.
We've had that happen. Where did you hear about us? I hired this guy who used to work for another guy who took one of your workshops as part of his previous job.
Happens all the time.
It didn't make sense for us to pay $7,000 for a course for him when we can have him take your courses.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So step number 1 is getting him to absorb the content. So like Emma was saying, and she's absolutely right, they're not going to sit down probably, I have done it, and binge watch your YouTube channel or binge listen to your podcast. It happens. It happens.
The point I was trying to make is that it happens over a period of time. They're not watching one. I didn't want people to think that you thought that someone was sitting watching your same VSL 7 times it's the blog post, it's the follow-up sequence, it's the SMS, it's the next ad that they see because they're retargeted. It's all the things combined that add the 7 hours.
Frank
we went way this way just to get back to the 7 hours.
but it's worth it though. Frank Kern's done a great job at remaining relevant in this industry, better than just about anybody.
I mean, his face was everywhere at GHL.
Frank runs ads when he's not making money. When Frank's between figuring out concepts, he keeps running ads because it keeps his face in the marketplace. It's constant branding. And you watch 5 minutes of a Frank Kern sales pitch. Well, that's 5 minutes, right? Or you read one of my real long, detailed blog posts. Well, that's 15 minutes. Or you watch one of my videos, which I had all my videos. They were putting out short clip videos for me in YouTube. I said, I want long clip. I want hour and a half. Because I want somebody to get sucked into there that watches an hour and a half. Because that's an hour and a half. I get to check off the box. And over time, you wonder like why guys like me, Ryan, Frank, there's only like probably 10 of us, maybe 15 of us in this business that have been around for a really, really, really long time. And it's because people have consumed in excess of 7 hours of all of our content. They have. And there's new people coming in all the time, but there are people that they'll repeat things back to me that I said that I forgot, right? Because 5 years ago, they listened to something I was teaching, but it didn't matter. It was relevant at the time. It absorbed that 7 hour window.
Right.
Right. And we're also all mass broad spectrum communicators. So it takes you to step 2. So you're watching a Perry Belcher YouTube video, or you're listening to a Perry Belcher podcast as I'm guesting on a podcast. I haven't had a podcast up till now. And, I've been a guest on a bunch of podcasts. You're listening to a podcast with me on it. You're going to an event where I'm speaking. Are you reading a book that I wrote? Right? I talked to Dan Kennedy about it. He said, he went all around the country for 4 years speaking at these big Peter Lowe events. He said, I had not spoken at all those events and written all those books, there would be no Dan Kennedy. Because people sitting in an arena and listening to him talk for 90 minutes, that's a long time. And then he would sell them a real low ticket course that came with a book. Well, now they spend 2 hours reading the book. Now they spend 3 hours going through the course. Now he invites them to the first event for free. The first live event is free. So now if they come to the first event, he told me that if they came to 2 events, they were lifers. If they came to 2 live events, they were lifers.
You got some lifers.
I got some lifers, yeah.
You got quite a few lifers.
And you only need about 1,000 lifers to make you $1 million a year. If you got 1,000 lifers, you make $1 million a year net money off 1,000 lifers. That is true no matter what you do, pretty much. You know, if there's margin in your business, it's operated well. But you have 11 interactions. So again, just like the 7 hours of content, it doesn't mean they're going to read 11 emails in a row. They might read 2 emails, watch a YouTube video, respond to an SMS message, get a push notification, be handed a flyer at a live event, any of those things. Just 11 communication interactions, 7, 11, 4. And it's actually quite easy to achieve that, you know. And then 4, number 3 rather, is 4 locations. This came out of dating. I know this for sure. It's really interesting that they'll tell you real quickly in the dating world, never take a girl to the same place for multiple dates in a row. The more places you take her, the better off you'll come out. In fact, the pickup artist guys that are trying to sleep with a girl on the first night,
right,
they'll have her move 4 places with them within the bar. Like if they're in a bar, they'll say, well, let's come outside. I want to smoke a cigarette.
I almost want to FaceTime Julian Reyes and ask him this.
Oh, I promise you, Julian would confirm that. Yeah. Even a ginger like him can get laid, which is fascinating, but he's all jacked now.
It is fascinating that anyone would sleep with him. I've always felt that way. Yeah, but he's done it quite a bit.
Yeah, we've always wondered about that. Julie, if you're listening, we love you. We just don't know how you get laid.
We just don't know how you get laid, dude. We don't know how.
But seriously though, if they've proven it, if they can get the girl to follow them 4 places in the bar, she's much more likely to leave with them, which is amazing. So the people that do this in the dating space, they don't do anything. They just accelerate the process. They're just really accelerating the process. They're trying to elongate the first date into 7 hours if they can. They're trying to go out for lunch, have that go into drinks, have that go into whatever, and they can accelerate that process and achieve a goal in a single day. The secret is you just can't skip steps. If you skip steps, somebody finds you the first time, you're making a big pitch for them. Priestley has a term for it I love. He says people will show up, they'll buy you a little tripwire item, and then all of a sudden you're on the phone with them, phone banging them to buy a $10,000 thing. And he calls that pitch slapping. They haven't got to know you yet, right? They haven't got to know you. And it reeks of desperation. It reeks of desperation when you do that. If people come into the Driven Mastermind funnel, they're going to join Driven and it's $30-some thousand. They didn't just find Driven Mastermind this morning and go apply. There's just no way that that's true. They either knew me or Qasim or Jason, or they know someone else who's highly recommending us that they know. So all those things being true, 7-11-4 is a great concept. If you can really think about that, if you can it's hard. It's really hard to get to the point where you feel confident that people have absorbed 7 hours of your content, seen 11 interactions in 4 different places with you before you really make your hardcore pitch to them. But it's not as hard as you think. You can shortcut the process with one very simple concept, and that's a live event. If you can get those people to come to a live event and sit in a room with you for 3 days, they're going to absorb 7 hours of your content. If you can get them on, like I do, 3 4-hour virtual days streaming, they're going to absorb 12 hours of your content. That's enough. You've snarfled the garflot, right? And while they're on there, guess what? I'm going to say, hey, go over here to somewhere to get this GPT. Like I'm going to tell you in a minute, go get a GPT from this podcast so that you can build out your 7-11-4 with a 7-11-4 GPT that I built for you guys. That's also in the show notes that you'll get in a Google Doc, right? So I'll tell you where to go get that in a few minutes. We might as well tell them now. That's at trainwreckshow.com/7114. The number 7114. So that's an interaction. Now, when you do that, I'm probably in there somewhere going to ask you for an email or an SMS number or some other contact information. I'm going to contact you in the future to get, or you're going to be inside the GPT and you're going to see that GPT running. And at the end of everything in the GPT, it says, hey, Perry's a great guy. Click here to get something else. So I'm trying to get you to interact with a GPT, interact with the email, interact with SMS message, interact with a ringless voicemail, interact with a live phone call. But best of all, come to a live event, man. If you come to the live event, we're going to do razzle, dazzle, frazzle. And hopefully by the end of that, you're going to go, holy crap, I think I want to work with these guys. I'm going to join Ignite, or I'm going to join Driven if you're a different strata, or whatever the case may be. But why do you think we're sitting here, man? I got other shit to do today. I don't need to be sitting here doing a podcast, right? But hopefully you're going to dig this podcast. It's not been as much a train wreck as it should be. We're kind of letting them down on the branding, I think.
You literally told everyone I take 3 tequila shots and fuck everybody. I think that's a train wreck.
Well, those are just facts. It's not really a train wreck.
Perry, just get to the point. I know it's so difficult for you.
It is. But yeah, hopefully you're going to absorb this content and you're going to see that I'm brilliant and you might want to work with me, and you're going to see that Emma's okay too, right? There's just all kinds of opportunities here. I'm just kidding. She holds together everything in our business. If Emma wasn't here to operate businesses, we would all fall apart. Everybody knows that. They know I'm full of shit. I got to be.
You can take all the credit. I don't need it. I'll just take the check every month.
I'll take the money. Nah. But seriously though, this is a really important concept. So stop stealing Presley's words, pitch slapping your clients.
Yeah.
You know, you got somebody to raise their hand, and the first thing you do is throw a dagger at them, right? They're going to run the other direction. And one of the most brilliant marketers I know is a guy named Dean Jackson. He's just as smart as they come. And he has a concept called cheese and whiskers. And the concept is that a mouse will chew through a concrete wall to get to a piece of cheese, but it will run the opposite direction as hard and fast as it can at the flicker of a whisker. And most marketers lead whiskers out. They come at you going, buy my shit, right? And without big thing, by the way, I will add one more layer to this that's really important. 7-Eleven-4 should only be doing one thing. It should be selling your ideas, not your products. It should be selling your ideas, your concepts. This podcast, 7-Eleven-4, Primal Offers, things that we're teaching here, they're all concepts. You can't buy these. There's nothing for sale, right? It's teaching concepts. When people begin to buy your concepts and your way of thinking, they will buy whatever it is you have to offer on the back of that. If you buy a book, Seth Godin did so well with his books because every book that Seth Godin wrote turned conventional wisdom on its ear. It changed the paradigm. They call it, it's a thought shifting book. It changed the way you thought about something. Anytime someone teaches us something that changes the way we think about a fundamental thing, we see that person as smarter than us, at least about that thing. And we want to follow them. That's how guruism happens. If you look today, I always get a kick out of Qasim because he loves Jordan Peterson. And I think Jordan Peterson's kind of a hack, frankly.
I also like Jordan Peterson.
I know. And common people do. But so what you see,
mean, we both...
Simple-minded people love Jordan Peterson. Now, don't get me wrong.
Jordan Peterson Academy is absolutely, it's all foundational and philosophy, and it's brilliant. I agree with you that some things that Jordan Peterson puts out there is just like, what?
Why don't you just dig him up and suck his dick already? What, are you working for him too?
Do I suck your dick?
No.
You walked yourself into that.
All right. So, but Jordan, I'm joking. Jordan, I'm sure, is a very smart man. But how he got to fame, if you look at who's killing it right now, who's killing it? Jordan Peterson, that dude, what's that dude with the glasses, the sunglasses guy, the Romanian rapist dude?
I'm definitely not saying his name now. And you shouldn't either.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
Of course I do.
Okay. Yeah. They all come out with these bombastic statements that are, I'm not saying he's a rapist.
You did. You absolutely did. That's why you can't say his name.
He's an alleged rapist. I'm like an alleged dirtbag.
This is why when I get served with lawsuits, it's so normal now.
Usually my name's on them.
But it's so normal now. I'm just like, oh, okay, mail today.
What'd you get? But if the assumption is the sun's going to come out in the morning, he's going to know it's going to come out tomorrow night. And people go, really? What's he know that I don't know? It's just amazing that these guys are really good. They'll take conventional wisdom and turn it on seer. They'll make you believe that
it's an opposing thought. Cossum taught this at the last Driven. He taught this. If you want to get on people's podcasts that you don't necessarily know how to pitch to get on, go find their highest rated podcast, their highest consumed podcast, and give an opposing thought.
That's a great idea.
To the person who was doing it. So if you think Perry's 7-11-4 was completely wrong, you'd write Perry and say 7-11-4 is completely wrong. I'd love to come on your show and challenge you.
I dare you.
Oh, we would totally let you, by the way.
Yeah.
I would totally let you. This would be a lot of fun.
We'll eat you alive.
Probably, but
there's like the book.
We'll let you talk for about 3 minutes before we murder you.
The book that we've been reading, this book called The Courage to be Disliked, which is really an amazing book. And it is counterculture in and of itself, but it's really based on something called Adlerian psychology. And Adler was the opposing view to Freud.
Right.
Fundamentally, almost a mirror. Would that be a mirror?
No, it would not be a mirror. Mirror would be
diametrically opposed, right? So Freud and Adler had totally opposite positions on psychology. It made Adler a name, though. If Adler had been kind of like Freud, he would have never had a name, right? So but when you get these guys that are just bombastic and go out and bash against the common vernacular, even the Trump thing to some extent, that's not popular, not the accepted norm today, they tend to rise.
Right.
And the more you're trying to be like everybody else, trying to be the nice guy, the more you're going to be largely ignored, because there's plenty of nice guys out there. Rush, I talk about Rush Limbaugh. People don't remember a lot now, but Rush Limbaugh and
he's forgettable like you.
Rush Limbaugh and Howard Stern were the two highest paid radio personalities in the world, and both of them were hated by 90% of the population. There was 90%.
What's that other guy's? Alex Jones. He's the other one people
hate. They hate him.
They listen to him just to hate on him.
Yeah. Or they'll listen to him to hate on him, or they'll listen to him because they do believe, and they have those crazy. They have the same crazy thoughts he has.
Crazy.
There used to be a guy named Art Bell. I love this guy. He was Art Bell Coast to Coast. It was called. He came on the radio on almost every radio station in America from midnight till 6 a.m. every night, and he talked about UFOs and shit. And he would go sign off, and he'd be like, "We're going to go to commercial right now, but hey, when we get back, it turns out Hillary Clinton has 7 fingers on her right hand. We'll be right back with he'd just have some crazy ass theory that he would throw out and never go back to it. Right? It was amazing. Just this pattern interrupt. And
I don't know who this is.
Art Bell. Most people don't know Art Bell unless you stayed up real late at night. I didn't, but I had somebody work for me that did.
What year was this?
It wasn't that long ago. Art just died a couple of years ago. But he had this huge cult following of people that believed in, he talked about paranormal shit and UFO shit and all conspiracy theory.
Oh, that's real.
All night long from midnight till 6 a.m.
Really?
It was called Coast to Coast.
Does Cossum know him? Cossum
probably has a picture of him hanging over his bed at night. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, let's wrap up 7-11 you. You want to recap?
I would love to do a recap.
Do you want to do the recap?
I think you should do the recap.
She's already forgotten what we were talking about.
I know 7-11-4. I can do the recap. That's fine.
7-11-4.
You're just
get people to listen, watch, read your ideas.
Consume.
People say, I want people to read my content. Content's bullshit. Get people to read, study, and listen to your ideas. That's what you want them to do. Consume 7 hours of your ideas in as many formats as is humanly possible. Interact with them. That's why it's so important that you get people onto a list, like the list that you're about to get on when you go to trainwreckshow.com /7114, all numbers, 7114. So you'll get the show notes here. You'll get the GPT that'll build a 7114 pattern for your business, and a bunch of other junk will spam you to death for the rest of your life.
No, we won't, because we follow spam laws. Ryan Poteet, I swear.
What do you think's really going to happen?
You're going to get spammed.
You're going to get spammed to death. We're going to spam the fuck out of you forever.
Yeah.
So that's those 11 interactions are super important. That's probably the easiest portion of this to overcome, frankly.
Yeah.
But when you're sending out emails, this is important. Start sending an email to your Twitter account. Send your email to a Twitter post. Send your email to a YouTube video. Send your email to a Google Doc. Send your email to a podcast episode. Send those people to different dates. Go on different dates in different locations. The more locations you can get them to participate in the date in, the better off you're going to be. Because it is the follow around principle. You're not going to be able to exactly duplicate personal interaction online. It's hard to do. But if you can lead them to the trough of coming to personal interaction, if all that leads to getting them in a room, it's unusual that we put people in a room of any number at all and don't walk out with somewhere between $200,000-$300,000 to $1 million plus, to some cases multi-millions of dollars in a 2 or 3 day period. You can only achieve that really live. So for me, all roads lead to virtual events that eventually lead to live events, right? And I go out and do the same, I would say. No matter what you're doing. We use this concept in bookkeeper training, drone pilot schools.
Fitness offers,
paintless dent removal equipment sales. I mean, outsourcing, you name it, franchising. It works. It only works everywhere, right? If you want to influence people, you have to have those people absorb your content, in order for you to have influence over them. And I think I got off on an influence earlier and said I thought that was going to go away. I think influence is going to be stronger than ever because there's so much information out there that we desperately are looking for someone else to filter that information and recommend for us.
Catalyst.
We're desperate. Decision fatigue. I promise you, I watch her from time to time because I'll stay here at her house when I'm in town. She'll stay at mine when she's in the other end of the country. And all she does all day is make decisions for people. And I'll see at the end of the day, I don't do it as much as I used to. She does a lot of that for me now. But I'll see her at the end of the day. She's just fucking jelly. And she doesn't want to decide what to eat, what time to go to bed, what kind of beer there is, for nothing. She doesn't care. And I get it. Because that
happened last night.
People's decision muscles.
You ate Jimmy John's last night because no one would tell me what they wanted to eat, and I couldn't do it.
People's attention muscles just tire out.
Yeah.
Their decision making is a muscle, just like any other muscle in your body. If you do enough reps in a day, that muscle is going to eventually fail. But decision making to failure is just like muscle building to failure. If you make a lot of decisions, good or bad, you'll get better and better at making decisions. You'll get stronger and stronger at it. So that's a side note of the 7-11-4. Anything closing before we?
Just really quick, go to www.trainwreckshow.com. Like, subscribe on whatever platform you like to consume your podcasts. Apple, if you are inclined to see Perry's ugly mug, go to YouTube.
I have a face for audio.
You sure do.
I really do.
I think we're both in that category.
I got a face for audio.
Hop on to the website, subscribe so you can get updates whenever we drop a new episode. Additionally, /7-11-4 as numbers. Go ahead and grab your GPT Perry made for this episode. Grab the Google Doc with the show notes and see you next time.
Yeah, there'll be a bunch of references in there, stuff that we don't get to on the show, and we update the show notes too. They're live documents.
Except for the show notes that are attached to every podcast. Those are living. Not living. Those are permanent.
Except they should be.
But the doc, it doesn't work that way, Perry. It's not how the interwebs work. Remember when you invented them? Remember when you told me you invented the interwebs?
Al and I.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. See ya.